Okay, hello everyone. Before we get started, I wanted to go ahead and do a audio and video check just to make sure that everyone can hear me and everyone can see me and everything. So go ahead to the corner and on the purple tab, open that up. And then in the corner, there's like a cogwheel looking thing. Check your settings there and make sure that your camera and your microphone are set up to hear me and see me. And then once you do that, if you could just all raise your hand and let me know that you can see my recording and you can hear me okay. Okay, great. All right, so here we go. We are going to get started. So we are going to, whoops, went too fast. We're going to talk about a community of inquiry today. And I'm just going to talk about one aspect of that because she told us to kind of shorten things. So I'm just going to talk about one of those aspects. So the learning objectives today are, by the end of this presentation, the learner will be able to formulate their own ideas about the community of inquiry, and the learner will be able to defend the community, why the community of inquiry is important. So I have a little bit of an icebreaker for you. So up in the corner, there's a little pencil icon. If you could click on that and you could answer this question for me. Would you want to be famous? Yes or no? Okay, I have one yes and I think two no's. Some people say yes, some people say no. There may be disagreements on whether you want to be famous, but why would you want to? The person that said yes, why would you want to?
That would be me, Brenda. I want to be famous for something I know a whole lot about, which I would love to tour, end of the day, on employee engagement and go all over the world to talk about how you can create a culture of engagement, because I love the conversation. And I guess I would be famous because people would cite my research and use me in examples and invite me to come present.
Okay. Great. And those of you that answered no, why would you not want to be famous?
I wouldn't mind my work being famous, but I don't really want to have to do all of that FaceTime stuff, people knowing who I really am, all that stuff. So if my writing could be out there just on its own without me, that would be nice, but not all the social stuff. Oh, no.
Okay. And did we have one more?
I'm happy being ordinary.
Okay. Okay, so this back and forth of different perspectives, one yes and two no's, is collaboration. We're working together to come to an answer. But understanding each other's perspectives is constructivism. So even though one of us said yes, we want to be famous, and two of us said no, we can see each other's perspectives, we can understand each other's perspectives and why they are what they are. So it's kind of hard for us to know what it would be like to be famous, right? We don't have people following us around with cameras. We don't have everything we say scrutinized. We don't have people comment about what clothes we decide to wear each day. And most of us probably don't make $1 million in what we do as a job. So we don't really know what it's like for ourselves, but there is a way that we could find out if we were lucky enough. And the best way would be to ask someone famous what it would be like to be famous. We could learn from them, right? Because they live in a completely different environment than we do, in a completely different world. But interestingly enough, famous people could also learn from us, ordinary people. Since we do not know what it's like to be famous, we know what it's like to do ordinary everyday things, like go to the grocery store without having to dress to the nines because someone might take our picture. And we know what it's like to do everyday things like not having our photo taken every single time we go anywhere, or having people, say, well, I can't believe they said that about something that we may have said. And we can learn from each other, right? We could learn from them. They could learn from us if we got a chance to talk to them. But we don't really get a chance to talk to them. We don't really get to understand their perspectives because we're not famous. So I want you to stop for a minute, and I want you to think of a question that you might ask a famous person if you had the opportunity to talk to someone. Does anybody have one that you can tell me?
How do you handle your lack of privacy?
Okay. Does anybody have anything else that you would ask?
But
to
yeah,
a famous person?
I would want to know, how did you become renowned in your field? A lot of people do research in your area. So how did you end up on top?
Okay. That's a really good one. Okay. Anything else?
I think I'm with Sarah. How do you handle the life that you have and keep as much normalcy as possible in it?
Okay. It would be nice to be able to ask people those questions face to face, right? But we don't really get to. So that's unfortunate. So one thing that we need to keep in mind is social presence. Social presence is part of the community of inquiry. It's one aspect. It's the second aspect of the community of inquiry. And to have that within the classroom, we need to have the ability of our students to be able to communicate with each other. So we can't really talk to famous people because we aren't fortunate enough to know them, but we want to be able to build an environment in our classroom where people can talk to one another, where they can have open communication, can express themselves, and have their opinions be respected. It needs to be a place where students can ask questions and get understanding of any confusing issues that they may have without worrying about somebody teasing them, somebody giving them a hard time, somebody criticizing all of the things that they say. It's really important to have safety in a classroom for your students, that your students feel safe to be able to communicate and express opinions. So I want you to show me by sending me an emoji how you would feel about expressing yourself in a classroom setting. And Sarah, why the skull and crossbones?
Oh, it depends. In some classes where there is a good social presence, I would feel a whole lot better about it. But in general, in a new classroom or people I just don't know, I would really hate to do that. But like in small groups like this one or the seminars, that's great. But in a big classroom, ew.
Yes, I agree. It does take a while to build that social presence. But once you have it built, hopefully you have that smiley face and you have that feeling where you can share with other people how you're feeling and know that it's going to be a safe place. So the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to talk about our case study. So for this case study, here are the instructions, but there are also instructions on the next slide when I pull up the Google Slides. So here are your instructions for the case study. In this case study, I want you to put yourself in the shoes of a famous person. I want you to imagine how it would feel to walk out the door and have your picture taken. I want you to imagine how it would feel to have everything you wear scrutinized. And if you were famous and had to have everyone watching every move that you did, what would your day be like? So for you students here, I want you to take 3 minutes and work together to make a list of what the day in the life of a famous person would look like, and start in the morning and then end in the evening. And I have a list on the next page of just 1 to 10. So you just, in group 1, all of you would be together in group 1. You just type from the beginning of the day to the end of the day what that would be like for you if you were famous. And then for the virtual students who are listening from abroad, I'm going to stop the recording for 3 minutes, and I'm going to allow these online students to do this activity, and then we'll come back, and once this is stopped, you go ahead and do this activity yourself on a piece of paper. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can set up some breakout groups here. You guys are already in group together, so this should be starting.
I'm back.
Okay, so you guys are back.
Yep.
So I can see what you're looking at. I would need hours of hair and makeup styling. I wouldn't care because I was famous. I would send my assistant out for everything. I would order everything from Amazon. I would invest in hats, and I would have lunch with Jason Momoa. Ooh, I would have lunch with him too. He's hot. Anyway, so we didn't really get to make it through all 10 aspects because you guys didn't have a whole lot of time. But so who put I would be me?
That is Brenda.
Okay. So you would just be yourself, Brenda. You wouldn't act like
Yeah,
anybody else.
No, because what would have made me famous was what's important to me. So that's why I would be me. Yeah, that's why I said that.
So who would need hours of hair and makeup styling?
That would be me, because, you know,
Okay.
I hope I'd be famous for being a writer and I could still be a big old slob like I am now. But if I had to go out to like something like professional, oh boy, we're going to need some work.
Okay. And then who wouldn't care because they were famous?
That was Brenda again.
Okay. And who would have a wonderful assistant that would go out and get you Starbucks coffee?
That was me. I was 4 and 5. My assistant's
okay.
running around town for me. And then anything else I kind of want, I'm just going to be on Amazon, just, you know, ordering up a storm.
Okay. And if you were famous, you could probably afford everything on Amazon,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah. Whatever my little heart desired, just click, click, click.
All right. Who would invest in hats?
That's Brenda again. Even though I would be me and I wouldn't care, I would still invest in hats to prevent the paparazzi.
Okay. And that's not to keep you from having to do hair and makeup, right? That's just to try to hide your face? Okay.
Just to kind of keep people out of my hula hoop. Yep, that's it.
Okay. And who would have lunch with Jason Momoa?
That would be me, because if I'm going to put on all that hair, makeup, and styling, someone better appreciate it.
I think everyone wants to have lunch with Jason Momoa. But, okay. Well, this is wonderful, and I'm glad that you guys can have fun doing this and have a great personality about the whole thing. But really, the point of the whole thing here is that, hang on, let me go back, sorry, into my other tab to get back to my, did it open? Oh boy.
Oh, it's doing that thing it did for Sherry.
Didn't like that.
Yeah. I think she said you just have to go back.
Share again. Okay. It didn't like the way I did it, so let me pull it up again and see. Oh, it's still doing it. Okay, just a second, guys. I'm trying to get back to the other screen here.
I think you want to share files instead of share app if you want to get back to your presentation.
Okay.
As long as you're under the share. There you go.
Okay.
Yep.
Now we got it. Okay. So, to get to the end of my presentation here, I'm going down to the side here and I'm going to pick up where I left off. So, we talked about it. We talked about what we would do in the day of the life of being famous. But just to kind of have a resolution to this and to kind of discuss this one more time, social presence. What does this case study tell us? This case study tells us that famous people really, they have a different life than us, and we don't really get to talk to them about it. But yet, when we're in a classroom setting, we can set up an environment where students can talk to each other, where students can feel comfortable making mistakes and not having those mistakes made fun of, and not having the things that they do be criticized and scrutinized like famous people do. So thank you very much for listening and participating. And I ask you now if you would use your microphone to ask any questions that you have, or to use social presence and express how you felt about this conversation.